I do not know what I may appear to the world, but to myself I seem to have been only a boy playing on the seashore. To explain all nature is too difficult a task for any one man or even for any one age. All knowledge and understanding of the universe was no more than playing with stones and shells on the seashore of the vast imponderable ocean of truth. If I had stayed for other people to make my tools and things for me, I had never made anything. If the ancient churches, in debating and deciding the greatest mysteries of religion, knew nothing of these two texts, I understand not why we should be so fond of them now the debate is over. My design in this book is not to explain the properties of light by hypotheses, but to propose and prove them by reason and experiments, in order to which I shall premise the following definitions and axioms. Gravity explains the motions of the planets, but it cannot explain who sets the planets in motion. Truth is ever to be found in the simplicity, and not in the multiplicity and confusion of things. Atheism is so senseless. When I look at the solar system, I see the Earth at the right distance from the Sun to receive the proper amounts of heat and light. This did not happen by chance. If I have seen further than others, it is by standing upon the shoulders of giants. I know not how I seem to others, but to myself I am but a small child wandering upon the vast shores of knowledge, every now and then finding a small bright pebble to content myself with while the vast ocean of undiscovered truth lay before me. In the absence of any other proof, the thumb alone would convince me of God's existence. I can calculate the motion of heavenly bodies, but not the madness of people. If the ancient churches, in debating and deciding the greatest mysteries of religion, knew nothing of these two texts, I understand not why we should be so fond of them now the debate is over. A man may imagine things that are false, but he can only understand things that are true, for if the things be false, the apprehension of them is not understanding. My powers are ordinary. Only my application brings me success. Truth is the offspring of silence and meditation. Nature is very consonant and conformable with herself. He who thinks half-heartedly will not believe in God, but he who really thinks has to believe in God. To any action there is always an opposite, an equal reaction. In other words, the actions of two bodies upon each other are always equal and always opposite in direction. My principal method for defeating error and heresy is by establishing the truth. One purposes to fill a bushel with tares, but if I can fill it first with wheat, I may defy his attempts. If two angels were sent down from heaven, one to conduct an empire, and the other to sweep the streets, they would feel no inclination to change employment. Because an angel would know that no matter what we are doing, it's an opportunity to bring joy, deepen our understanding and expand our life. This most beautiful system of the sun, planets and comets, could only proceed from the counsel and dominion of an intelligent and powerful being. Trials are medicines which our gracious and wise physician prescribes because we need them, and he proportions the frequency and weight of them to what the case requires. Let us trust his skill and thank him for his prescription. Pictures, propagated by motion along the fibers of the optic nerves in the brain, are the cause of vision. Plato is my friend. Aristotle is my friend. But my greatest friend is truth. As a blind man has no idea of colors, so we have no idea of the manner by which the all-wise God Zero perceives and understands all things. I have a fundamental belief in the Bible as the Word of God, written by those who were inspired. I study the Bible daily. The best way to understanding is a few good examples. If I have ever made any valuable discoveries, it has been due more to patient attention than to any other talent. I consider my greatest accomplishment to be lifelong celibacy. God created everything by number, weight, and there are more sure marks of authenticity in the Bible than in any profane history. To every action there is always opposed an equal reaction. Nature does nothing in vain when less will serve. For nature is pleased with simplicity and affects not the pomp of superfluous causes. I do not think that the universe can be explained only by natural causes, and are forced to impute to the wisdom and ingenuity of an intelligent. If you are affronted, it is better to pass it by in silence, or with a jest, though with some dishonor, than to endeavor revenge. If you can keep reason above passion, that in watchfulness will be your best defenders. To me there has never been a higher source of earthly honor or distinction than that connected with advances in science. The wonderful arrangement and harmony of the cosmos would only originate in the plan of an almighty omniscient being. This is and remains my greatest comprehension. If others would think as hard as I did, then they would get similar results. We account the scriptures of God to be the most sublime philosophy. The way to chastity is not to struggle directly with incontinent thoughts, but to avert the thoughts by some employment, or by reading, or meditating on other things. To myself I am only a child playing on the beach, while vast oceans of truth lie undiscovered before me. Therefore to the same natural effects we must, as far as possible, assign the same causes. I can see so far because I stood on the shoulders of giants. The changing of bodies into light, and light into bodies, is very conformable to the course of nature, which seems delighted with transmutations. Sir Isaac Newton was asked how he discovered the law of gravity. He replied, by thinking about it all the time. It is the weight, not numbers of experiments, that is to be regarded. Every particle of matter is attracted by or gravitates to every other particle of matter, with a force inversely proportional to the squares of their distances. The instinct of brutes and insects can be the effect of nothing else than the wisdom and skill of a powerful ever-living agent. I keep the subject of my inquiry constantly before me, and wait till the first dawning opens gradually, by little and little, into a full and clear light. Yet one thing secures us whatever betide. The Scriptures assures us that the Lord will provide. God is able to create particles of matter of several sizes and figures and perhaps of different densities and forces, and thereby to vary the laws of nature, and make worlds of several sorts in several parts of the universe. I do not know what I may appear to the world, but to myself I seem to have been only like a boy playing on the seashore, and diverting myself in now and then finding a smoother pebble or a prettier shell than ordinary, whilst the great ocean of truth lay all undiscovered before me. Let me think. I wonder if an anvil will drop like an apple? Atheism is so senseless and odious to mankind that it never had many professors. I am ashamed to tell you to how many figures I carried these calculations of pi, having no other business at the time. An object that is at rest will tend to stay at rest. An object that is in motion will tend to stay in motion. A body in motion tends to stay in motion, unless acted on by an outside force. The description of right lines and circles, upon which geometry is founded, belongs to mechanics. Geometry does not teach us to draw these lines, but requires them to be drawn. Daniel was in the greatest credit amongst the Jews, till the reign of the Roman Emperor Hadrian, and to reject his prophecies is to reject the Christian religion. For this religion is founded upon his prophecy concerning the Messiah. We are to admit no more causes of natural things than such as are both true and sufficient to explain their appearances. Impressed force is the action exerted on a body to change its state, either of resting or of moving uniformly straight forward. The seed of a tree has the nature of a branch or twig or bud. It is a part of the tree, but if separated and set in the earth to be better nourished, the embryo or young tree contained in it takes root and grows into a new tree. Is not fire a body heated so hot as to emit light copiously? For what else is a red-hot iron than fire? And what else is a burning coal than red-hot wood? We are not to consider the world as the body of God. He is an uniform being, void of organs, members, or parts, and they are his creatures, subordinate to him, and subservient to his will. To derive 2 or 3 general principles of motion from phenomena, and afterwards to tell us how the properties and actions of all corporeal things follow from those manifest principles, would be a very great step in philosophy. Every body persists in a state of rest or of uniform motion in a straight line, unless it is compelled to change that state by forces having impact upon it. The qualities of bodies, which admit neither intention nor remission of degrees, and which are found to belong to fill bodies within the reach of our experiments, are to be esteemed the universal qualities of all bodies whatsoever. His epitaph, who by vigor of mind almost divine, the motions and figures of the planets, the paths of comets, and the tides of the seas first demonstrated. Absolute, true in mathematical time, of itself, and from its own nature flows equably without relation to anything external. The latest authors, like the most ancient, strove to subordinate the phenomena of nature to the laws of mathematics. All the characters of the Passion agree to the year 34. and that is the only year to which they all agree. Philosophy is such an impertinently litigious lady, that a man had as good be engaged in lawsuits as have to do with her. When the adversaries of Erasmus had got the Trinity into his edition, they threw by their manuscript as an old almanac out of date. Whence arises all that order and beauty we see in the world. Those qualities of bodies that cannot be intended and remitted, i.e., qualities that cannot be increased and diminished, and that belong to all bodies on which experiments can be made, should be taken as qualities of all bodies universally. I've been much amused at these singular phenomena resulting from bringing of a needle into contact with a piece of amber or resin fricated on silk cloth. Ye flame putteth me in mind of sheet lightning on a small, how very small scale. Biography of Isaac Newton. Sir Isaac Newton PRS was an English mathematician, physicist, astronomer, alchemist, theologian, and author, widely recognized as one of the greatest mathematicians and physicists and among the most influential scientists of all time. He was a key figure in the philosophical revolution known as the Enlightenment. Born January 4, 1643, Woolsthorpe Manor House, United Kingdom. Died March 31, 1727, Kensington, London, United Kingdom. Nationality: British English.